Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Hi guys, we are super excited for our Hanukkah Art Kit, and we're going to jump into some projects very soon. This is an awesome holiday. It's all about hope and light, and we want to celebrate that with this special art kit. So we're going to jump right into some projects here soon.
I'm so excited.
I am too.
And we wanted to introduce ourselves too. My name's Miss Jacqueline.
And I'm Miss Emily.
And we're gonna start our Northern Lights project from this kit today. So you'll find that you have 2 pieces of black paper inside. So we're gonna start with that. And you also will have a bag of chalk. And because Hanukkah is very much about light and wonder and excitement and hope, we thought it'd be really neat to do a Northern Lights drawing because the Northern Lights are something really special that happens in the sky in the Northern Hemisphere, and there's a lot of beautiful lights that you see at night up in the sky. They come in all different colors. So, Miss Emily, did you want to say anything about the Northern Lights?
It's just an amazing thing. I hope to see it in person one day, but I thought this would be a great project for our Hanukkah Art Kit, so we can kind of think about what an Arctic scene would look like, because that's where you see this.
Right.
And are there fir trees with snow on top? Is there like a fir
mountains maybe?
Yeah. Is there water that polar bears are swimming in? You know, what does it look like? Are there little snowmen? Like, is it magical like that? So, yeah.
Definitely. So what we could do is, we have pencils out just to kind of help us plan ours out. So if you have a pencil at home, you could use that. And down at the bottom, kind of like what Miss Emily was talking about, we could kind of draw our Arctic scene down here. And then up at the top will be our Northern Lights. And if you feel more comfortable having your paper be this way, you could also turn it that way.
I'll do my that one.
Okay.
Just for fun.
I'll try it this way, and then we'll kind of have both ways. So.
Right.
I think I'm gonna start by making some mountains by doing an up and down line for the background.
All right, so now that Miss Jacqueline and I have both sketched out our drawing, she has an awesome igloo in hers, and I have some little snowmen and a few trees and mountains in mine. Something that is worth pointing out when you start is that chalk does smear, and you can use that to your advantage when you're doing this. Once I work in an area and I've completed it, I'm going to try my best to kind of not work over there because I want it to stay intact and to not change. So I think on mine, I'm going to work from the top to the bottom, just because where I do the Northern Lights, I want the lights to be lighting up the sky and then the rest of it to kind of remain dark like it is nighttime. Now the Northern Lights can be like dark pink, green, blue, turquoise, and we really have every color chalk in here. Now some of these pieces are a little bit broken, but that's just the nature of chalk, and a lot of times I break chalk so that I can shade with it. So it actually is fine if some of your pieces are broken. No matter when we buy chalk, some of it's broken just because that it easily breaks. Okay, so I think for my Northern Lights, I'm going to do green and teal and purple.
Ooh, that sounds great.
And I kind of made lines with my pencil where I want them to be. And I'm also gonna I'm gonna start on my moon in the corner that I put with yellow and white. So I'm kind of gonna start in one area and then work my way down. So I have my moon here.
Wow, that shows up so bright on that black paper. It really pops.
It really does. It's super fun. Right. And I kind of just gonna tap the chalk dust off. And maybe I'll add like a little bit of white into this as like a highlight.
Yeah, you can layer your chalk kind of on top of one another too.
Okay. And then maybe I do want there to be like a little soft glow around it. So I'm just gonna take my chalk and do like a really like light yellow. And then I'm gonna just take my pinky and kind of smear it a little bit so it looks like it's got like a little glow to it. I want it to be a little bit more vibrant, so I'll add a little bit more.
Wow. So neat.
Yeah, it's so fun. All right, so now I'm gonna come in and do my Northern Lights with my purple and my green and my turquoise. And Miss Jacqueline, you can start too, and we can both just kind of work for a little while, and then we'll show some progress pictures.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Here. This is a glass jar. I know, it's so neat. And we are gonna make our very own special kind of light or luminary. And light is very important on Hanukkah. So with your glass jar, this is breakable. So just be really careful with it. You don't wanna drop it or kind of play around with it. But
Or throw it.
don't throw it. Please don't do that. But what we're gonna do, if I kind of take this out too, this is gonna go with it. You have this little baggie with all these really pretty light blue and dark blue dots. Do you know what these are made out of, Miss Emily?
Tissue paper.
That's right, they're made out of tissue paper, which is a really neat kind of paper that's really see-through. And we're gonna put these on our jar, and we'll put a special little light that comes inside your box too, inside here. But this will be a little later because we want to decorate this first today.
Yeah.
We're gonna decoupage.
Ooh.
It's
What's
really
that?
neat. It's basically where you're adhering a kind of paper to a surface, and we're gonna use some glue to decoupage our little tissue paper circles onto our jar today.
Excellent.
And then you're also gonna need a little bit of water too. So we've got a bowl of water, and we have a paintbrush, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna do that. Maybe Miss Emily, you could help me do it too. We
Sure.
can mix up some of that water.
How much should I pour in? Just like a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Maybe and coat the surface.
Yeah, we
There we
just
go.
want to kind of thin out the glue a little bit. So if you want to go ahead and start kind of stirring that together in our little bowl, I'm going to open this up. And so there's a lot inside here, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of do some blue and light blue kind of next to each other. But if you guys want to do a pattern, you could. But it's going to make our light really beautiful when it shines inside here. So,
and you'll notice it takes a little bit of time, and I'm holding the container when I'm mixing it so it doesn't splash everywhere. But you want all the glue to be mixed so it's not like chunky in certain areas and thinner in others. But
it almost looks kind of like milk.
Like a thick milk, yes. Okay.
Okay, so Miss Emily, what we want to do first is kind of just take a little bit of our glue mixture and dab it onto our glass first, because that's going to make it so that our tissue paper sticks on.
Okay, I put like a little area. I think we can just,
yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of put that on there, and then Miss Emily's going to paint over top of that tissue paper. She's kind of just dabbing it so it doesn't move around. And right now, the glue kind of looks white, but it's going to dry completely clear, so don't worry about that. And then she kind of put a couple little more patches of glue on there, and I'm just going to kind of stick these on.
and it might want to stick to your brush a little bit. If that happens, just kind of dab more instead of painting with it. We're kind of doing like a little gentle dab.
And I am kind of overlapping some of these. It looks really neat when you overlap them, but you don't want it too thick because you want that light to be able to shine through.
That's right.
But
if you want, as long as it's staying wet, you could kind of put a lot of them on there and just then kind of go back over top too. I kind of did like a big surface on this just now, and then Miss Jacqueline can kind of just come in and fill in where I'm working.
Sounds great. Okay, so now we have our finished beautiful jar for our light. And we are gonna let this dry for a little bit because it's pretty wet right now, and it will dry clear, remember that. So if you see some of that white glue, it will dry clear. And when it dries, you could kind of take it in a darker spot and put your light inside. It has like a little switch, and just kind of pop it in. It'll be so special. It'll look great.
That sounds awesome.
Let's
go.
Yeah, take a picture.
Dreidel, 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 I painted my dreidel. All right, so we are going to paint the dreidels now that came inside of your awesome Hanukkah Art Kit. This is just an awesome little dreidel, and I'm going to use the paint inside my kit. And this is some really good high quality paint to paint with. So first I'm gonna open these. Oh, but before I open them, this is permanent art paint.
Yes.
It's acrylic. So we wanna make sure that we put on our handy dandy apron. So if you don't have an apron at home, just put on like an old t-shirt or something that you don't mind getting paint on.
That's a great idea. You can roll up your sleeves too if you have long sleeves
Good
on.
idea, Miss
Just
Jacqueline.
in case. Yeah, because we're using acrylic paint and it's permanent on your clothes. So just make sure you protect it.
All right, so I am going to open each of these up, and they're kind of snapped on there. So you kind of have to just very gently and carefully open them. And we are gonna paint our dreidels today with just a decorative pattern. You can paint it really however you'd like. I'm just gonna do an example here, and hopefully it'll inspire you to come up with something unique for your very own dreidel. I think for mine, I'm going to stick with like blues and teals and then do like a snowflake pattern overlay.
Beautiful.
And that's how I typically paint when I'm doing acrylic paint, is I'll paint a layer and then I'll let it dry and then I can add something else. And acrylic paint dries really quickly, so it really allows for you to do that. So your kit also came with a paintbrush, and you'll want to get some water and maybe a paper towel so that you can kind of get your brush totally dry in between getting new colors. So I think something I would like to try is fading from one color to another. So I'm going to start at the top with my dark blue, and I'll make the whole top portion dark blue.
That'll look so neat, Miss Emily.
Thank you. I think it'll look nice.
Ah.
And this part has some little grooves, so I might have to tap my brush to fill in all those portions. But I'm just gonna kind of fill this whole top portion in. And then I'm not gonna get a lot of paint on my brush because I am gonna fade from one color to the next. So I'm gonna use the paint that is already in there so that it can kind of look like I'm fading from my dark blue into my teal.
And you could always think about too, before you start, you could make a little list of decorative things you wanted to put on it. I know Miss Emily's gonna do her snowflakes. You could do polka dots, stripes, or you could do flowers, things that are important to you.
That's right.
So there's a lot of different things you could do with it.
It is a little tricky when you're painting a three-dimensional object because you want to hold it and keep it upright. So sometimes I kind of just wait for a side to dry a little bit before I kind of go back and forth. But I'm kind of moving down into my dark blue now, and it kind of fades there from one color to the next. I might come back over top with blue too again. Sometimes when I'm doing like a gradation, you do that. You kind of have to go back and forth.
Kind of let things dry and come back to it, and be kind of patient with it. But the acrylic dries fairly quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Especially if you don't do a really thick layer.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna keep working on this, and then I'll show you some progress work. All right, we had an awesome time today making all these wonderful projects with you. We hope you have a wonderful Hanukkah with your family and you eat lots of good food, and happy holidays.
Yeah.